Hi everybody, this is Tim with Comic Carnival. I'm here with David Reddick, and David is the artist and creator of Intelligent Life. He is also one of the artists on the current Blondie syndicated strip appearing in your newspaper, if you have such a thing. And he is working here at the store. Today is a local comic shop day, and David has been drawing and talking to a lot of fans that have come in to meet him, and he's going to tell us about what he's been up to. David, what have you been up to?
6 foot tall. No, I'm sorry. Okay. So I've just been sitting here. I've actually been drawing a little bit of Blondie today, and right now I'm working on an Intelligent Life comic strip, actually. Working on my iPad Pro with my Apple Pencil, and had been sketching out Barry from Intelligent Life in a hot dog suit, and the CEO of a company.
Oh, Barry.
Works with his company, yes. So just having some fun with this. Brought in my strip that I wrote in Photoshop, pulled it into Procreate, and I actually do my drawing there. So basically, I'm always looking for an excuse to draw people in like hot dog suits. You know,
It's a theme in your life?
Yeah, things like that. Whatever, you know, something as absurd as humanly possible. So in this comic, actually, Barry signed a deal. He works for Finch Marketing, and he signed a deal with another company to market their company, and they are called Cosplay Caféville. And this is the CEO that he just meets, and CEO has a big CCM on him. That means he's Cosplay Caféville man. And Barry, the whole company is required to cosplay in celebration of the CEO being there and signing this new deal. So Barry, he's a sports guy. He's not really a cosplayer. He had to run to the costume shop, and the only thing in his signs was a hot dog costume.
Right.
So
Plenty of
that's
preparation, right?
Yes, exactly.
He should be proud.
Yes. So that's what I'm working on right now is an Intelligent Life strip for King Feature Syndicate.
Very cool. So what's the difference between drawing your own Intelligent Life and drawing Blondie?
Well, the biggest difference is style, because it's kind of like acting. It's sort of like doing one role in a TV sitcom and then having a role in a movie where you have to change your accent and change the way you look, i.e. stylistically they're just diametrically opposed, pretty much. So I have my own core cartoon style, which is Intelligent Life, but Blondie has a classic style that it's held for many years, and when I draw Blondie as an assistant to John Marshall, actually, the head artist on there, and Dean Young, the writer, when I draw Blondie, I have to employ the Blondie style, and the thicks and thins of the lines, and the way the characters are posed or stand, or whatever. I have to employ that style. So it really is like taking on a different accent in a movie, and playing a different part, really. So I mean, I worked for Garfield for nearly 15 years. It was the exact same thing.
Yeah, to use Jim Davis's style,
yes,
right?
I wrote and drew for Garfield, and I had to employ that style, and make sure that it looked on model and looked like Garfield. None of my own style in that. So it was kind of like taking on another role in something completely different.
Right.
So I'm doing a Scottish accent in this one, a British accent in this one, and an American accent in this one. So,
Sure.
It's fun. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I love working in different styles.
Which is the most difficult? Would you is probably not the way to say, but is it easier for you to draw so you write and draw Intelligent Life?
I write, draw, color it. I do everything thing myself.
Is it easier to do Intelligent Life strip or a Blondie strip? Given that you just do the art in Blondie.
Yeah, it's easier to do an Intelligent Life strip just on for the sole purpose of it's my writing, it's my art, and my natural cartooning style, so it just flows naturally.
Right.
Just
by definition, it's always on model, right?
Yeah, precisely, it's just always there.
Originator,
yeah, it just happens. Blondie is a very complex comic strip to draw, and but interestingly, immensely fulfilling because of those thicks and thins, those juicy lines. If you look at a Blondie comic in the newspaper online, look at those juicy thicks and thins, those juicy lines. It's like eating a really delicious, rare, steak that has all the right seasoning on it. It's just really satisfying.
Yeah.
And Intelligent Life is very satisfying in its own way, in a different way. So,
one of the big differences, Intelligent Life has a ongoing plot and story, right? Whereas Blondie is a gag a day strip, basically,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So there are overriding or kind of overriding themes that happen a lot in Blondie. Lots of different themes that we revisit and such, but not an ongoing storyline. Whereas Intelligent Life, I might do Gag a Day for a week or something, but it's usually to set up some form of storyline that might last a week, might last 2 months.
Right, so. And changes actually happen.
And Intelligent Life changes. Yeah, growth happens with the characters. Yeah. Changes actually do happen, and things move along and move forward and alter. And with Blondie, it stays true to itself consistently via a Gag a Day style. So, and it's what's worked for Blondie. It's one of the biggest one of the biggest comics in the world. Yeah. So it's widely syndicated worldwide. So.
And were you a fan of Blondie before you began working?
Oh yes, I grew up in an antique shop, so I actually cut my teeth on my first comics. Were a stack of newspaper Sunday pages, which were just comics sections from between 1900 and 1912. Oh, goodness. And so I cut my teeth on a lot of those really old comics, not to mention lots of newspapers from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Those were the days before the internet and before iPads. And being a Time Lord and being immortal, I can go way back in time. So Blondie was definitely a huge one there. If you would have told me when I was a kid, because I keep in touch with 10-year-old David a lot, and
how's he doing?
He's doing really well. He thanks me a lot for seeing his goals through, because 10-year-old David wanted to have his own comic strip, ironically, specifically with King Features Syndicate, and he got that, over the course of time. 13-year-old David actually wrote Jim Davis of Garfield fame a 4-page letter with drawings telling him how, remember this is 13-year-old David, how 13-year-old David thinks, if you would do a little bit more of this, things might actually be even funnier, and he considered things like, litter box humor, stuff like that, with drawings to highlight it, and he did respond to that, by the way. So 13-year-old David also is very thankful. Cause
a testament to the kindness of Mr. Davis that he gave you a job.
Precisely, yes, exactly. So thank you, Jim, and thank you, Dean, and thank you, King Features, thank you to lots of people. Yeah. So it's sort of that irrepressible stamina to push through rejection, wanting to draw
That's
comics.
The artist's way, right?
Yes, it is the artist's way to push through rejection and through, gosh, I'm really not very good at this thing, but maybe I should practice this thing. And hey, I found something that I'm actually kind of good at. And, ooh, I like that. And just learning and pushing through and somehow, by the magic of the universe, I've been blessed with doing lots of
fun
things, and telling 10-year-old David that, hey,
we
pulled it off, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly, making a living at it.
Now, originally you were going to be here at Local Comic Shop Day because you had a book that was going to come out.
The first Intelligent Life book.
Yeah, it's a collection of the strips, and that's still happening, right?
Oh, yes. Actually, the book is actually complete. It's the first year of Intelligent Life strips, and it will be the first of several books, and it collects the first year of Intelligent Life, and it's almost there. The book
is that done. 365 strips?
No. Well, let's see. Yeah, probably close. Yeah. So the strip itself started on July 7th of 2014, and I think the first book, not quite 365, because it pushes through from July to about February, so a little less than that. Maybe a couple of hundred strips. And but at a nice stopping point, so the second book can start at a new storyline and push forward there, because there was sort of a break there. In Intelligent Life, for most of its first year, was a Gag a Day strip, and somewhere right before that year point, I started doing storylines.
And what was the change? What made you change your style or your writing style?
I have always gravitated more towards storytelling and storylines and character development and character building and universe building with the characters, and I just really wanted to do that. And doing the Gag a Day strips in the first year actually is very helpful to editors and newspapers because it's less of an initial investment. Since it didn't start off as a storyline strip. There wasn't that investment of needing to know the whole story the gist of the comic could come through day by day. And it just kind of helped, quite frankly, sell the comic and push it into the editor's realm. And then once it was kind of established, once it was established, I was able to move to storylines and do what I really wanted to do.
You let the new kids worry about that gag.
That's right.
Stuff, right?
Let them worry about the gag a day. And hey, I can do gag a day. I did it. But I really do love character development. I like things to change. For example, Doctor Who. All these years, it stays consistently true to its own history,
right?
And I love that whole premise. That whole premise. Star Trek: The Next Generation was like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Where they'll have what they call, like X-Files called it, mythology episodes, and then they have Monster of the Week or whatever. And mix it up.
But it would all remain consistently true to its own past and history, ideally. And Doctor Who's the best example of that, I think, as far as storytelling. And I love that. I love seeing changes and growth, and kind of throwing myself into a position where I don't really know what's going to happen next, and let the characters speak and act and respond to the scenario they're placed in, and I think that's fun.
So there's a lot of romance in Intelligent Life.
Yeah,
some romance. I don't have a lot. It's fair, but
some romance.
And are you surprised what directions that has taken recently?
Constantly. Oh yeah, constantly. I'm actually constantly surprised at what happens in the writing of Intelligent Life. Because these two characters might wind up dating and fall in love, and I didn't see that coming.
Did you ever second guess yourself, like, oh, I don't want to make this change?
Oh, I've done that. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've looked at something.
Like, I don't care what you say, characters. You're going to the Comic-Con.
Oh yeah. I've done that a few times. But it's funny. I'm a bit of a risk taker, so I often like to just roll with it and see what happens.
Okay.
Just throw it out there and let's see where this goes.
Do you ever retcon?
Do I ever what?
Retcon, like retroactive continuity, like, I didn't like this didn't work. Let's say it never happened.
Not typically. Typically, I'll go ahead and stick with it. You know, because it's funny, writing my own comic and drawing my own comic, such as Intelligent Life, its own history stays inside my head. So I'm hanging out with these characters. And so I know not only how they'll respond in the scenario, but also what they have done or how they've responded in the past, and I often like to stick with it, even if I've done something that I might actually mildly regret, like, I probably shouldn't have done that, but the characters made me do it. It feels like that.
And then they can regret it, maybe.
Exactly, precisely. And that actually gives good writing fodder, because now the characters will write themselves in or out of situations that they've been placed in.
Oh, fun!
And that makes it fun, and it can create humor, or sometimes drama. So it's very, very satisfying.
Are there any other non-David Reddick strips that you are a big fan of that are currently going on?
Oh yeah, as far as strips, non-David Reddick strips. I'm a huge fan of the classics, so I love. Like right now, I've really been loving, for example, The Phantom and Dick Tracy. Those are great. I love old Mandrake comics, Flash Gordon, Popeye, you name it. I love old Cliff Sterrett stuff. I'm very much a vintage comics fan.
Now, a lot of those aren't currently being published. Is that right?
No, The Phantom is, and Dick Tracy is, of course.
Okay.
And but I think Popeye might be running on Sundays, but I can't remember. But Mandrake and Flash Gordon, not second. So I love a lot of the old vintage comics. As far as some of the new comics, I love Rhymes with the Range. I think it's hilarious, and which is a nice gag-a-day comic. Gosh, there are just a number. I love anything Bill Holbrook does on the Fast Track and Ken and Kel and things like that. I'm a big webcomics fan, so I love Table Titans and PvP by Scott Kurtz, for example, and just a variety of things. I loved Girls with Slingshots and anything Danielle Corsetto puts out.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I mean, so I've got a really eclectic taste in comics.
How do you feel the comic strip is doing nowadays?
It depends on which comic it is. So there are certain classic comics that are doing very well in newspapers, like Blondie, for example. Blondie's a good example. Garfield's a good example of that. And certain brand new comics, such as Macanudo by King Features, which was launched this year, doing incredibly well because it's hilarious and it's done by a great cartoonist who's a great guy.
Yeah.
So it just all kind of depends on what the strip is and where it's at. So newspapers, it depends. It comes.
And they're
down
doing a lot of their content online now, right?
Yes. So and doing online allows you to really expand your repertoire of humor and get a little bit more edgy
and back papers are easy to find. Like you could never find unless you had a Garfield collection. You'd never have old Garfield strips unless you save the papers.
Exactly, or by the books, or whatever. And it's very nice to be able to go back, especially webcomic-wise. When something's online only, digital only, it's especially nice to hit that back button or that first button and go back and hit the entire thing. And I've done that lots of times. Schlock Mercenary is one of my favorite comics, by the way. And I did that. When I first discovered it, and I got to meet Howard Taylor, the creator of Schlock Mercenary, just one of my favorite comics and one of my favorite cartoonists. When I first discovered it, I was just,
what did I miss
so, this is like, Douglas Adams on 3 Red Bulls. It's just great. And I went back and hit that first button, man, and I just read.
That's cool.
And online, that's a wonderful thing. And plus, when you're a cartoonist and doing things, especially for online, it really allows you to spread your wings and know that readers will have a chance to go back and catch up on something. So if you throw something out there that might be a bit obscure to someone who's just seeing that for the first time, online, kind of by default, they typically know, I don't know what's going on here, so back. Or first, and go back and start from the beginning.
You don't, but have you ever thought about putting in classic comic, like asterisks sort of things, as seen in Marvel Team Up number 172 or something?
Every now and then. Yes, absolutely. C blah 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 blah. The way
right. Strip number 700.
Yeah, exactly. I think I might have. It's funny. I've done a lot of comics, so I think I might have done that one time
as a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even made the box yellow or something. Like that. You see an old Marvel comic.
Sure.
But I think about that every now and then.
It's funny. Name yourself like Editorial David or.
Yeah,
David the editor or something.
Yes, and when you're even with a webcomic, gosh, you could even put a link. In the
hyperlink,
say, C blah blah blah, to reference it.
You would need that would be a great idea, but I think you'd probably need an assistant. That sounds like good assistant work.
Yeah, it does.
Intern even.
Yes,
right?
Good intern work. Very good intern work.
Are you taking intern applications?
I'm not, but I am not opposed to fielding them and looking at them and making decisions based on who's willing to work for free.
Sure. Well, classic strips, obviously, they were often ghost written
very often,
drawn.
yes.
So if you could just find a ghost intern.
Absolutely. A ghost intern would actually be really preferable.
Yeah.
An actual ghost, because they don't need money. They don't need to be paid.
Right.
They're willing to work for peanuts.
Nearly headless Nick.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what's in the future for you, David?
In the future is more Intelligent Life, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
the collection we're looking forward to.
Yes, a book collection. And Intelligent Life has a few changes coming up for 2019 that are going to be really nice for me. I think really nice for readers. And an interesting alteration. I've got some fun new projects, fun new announcements to make. For 2019 projects.
And when will we hear about those?
Hopefully within the next month or so. Definitely before the end of the year. So
are
some
these
really
strip related?
Yes, definitely comics related.
Oh, exciting!
So it's some really fun stuff. Fun announcements to make that that I can't say talk about too much at the moment, but I will be able to announce soon, and it's really going to be some fun.
Oh, great
stuff that's making me immensely happy.
And when will we be able to get our hands on the book, do you think?
The Intelligent Life book should ideally be available at least by early December.
Ooh, Christmas time.
Yeah, and I hate that it's pushing that late, but it's almost there, and it's almost available.
Almost available.
So I would probably say early December.
And your big announcements?
My big announcements probably also early to mid-December I'll be able to make.
Oh,
so,
you got to wait for Santa, huh?
Yeah, I got to wait
approval.
for Santa to give the thumbs up, naughty or nice list thing, something. So, but 2019, I have to say, is going to be for me personally, a really
Yeah, you're gonna have to
certainly-
buckle up and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and
Buckle
be
in.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah, buckle into the roller coaster of comics fun. So,
And then if people are interested in seeing your stuff, where can they find it? Besides the local newspaper, of
yes,
course.
they can find and they can also visit davidreddickstudio.com. They can also visit intelligentlifecomics.com. And on Facebook, probably the best place would be facebook.com/intelligentlifecomics. I tend to very much live online on social, so Twitter @David Reddick, Instagram @David Studio. So
Seeing a theme.
stuff out. Yes, there is a theme.
That's
Yes.
good.
Very self-serving
Branded.
theme.
Yeah, yeah.
The way it sounds, Yeah, very. I needed to have a talk with myself about it. 7-year-old David did not tell me to go this far with this level of self-absorption, but
What'd he know?
now that I'm older,
He didn't have to worry about.
well, I'm the grown-up here, so you know
That's
what?
right.
I can make the decisions. Right?
That's right.
So
Exactly.
anyway,
David, thanks so much for talking to us, and thanks for
you.
coming in today.
You bet. Thank you
We'll
very
talk
much.
to you soon.
I'll see you in the comics.